Okay, so I am popping in this morning to talk to you about CTAs. Those are calls to action. And if you're watching this on video, you can see that I am popping in right after my morning walk. I'm in my gym clothes. I haven't put on makeup yet. And I've got my handy dandy Your Cta shake. So real quick, I'm not affiliated in any way with either of these companies, but if you're seeing this awesome shirt that I'm wearing on YouTube from Dear Grown Ass Women, that is all about taking no shit. Dear Grown Ass Women is awesome. Recommend looking at the show notes and going and checking them out. And Your Cta shakes, also not affiliated with them, but they are awesome post-workout. So why the hell am I popping in with no makeup and in my sports gear with my smoothie to talk about CTAs? Well, because calls to action, CTAs, are a thing that are really meant to get people into action. That's why we call them that, right? So it's tough to get people into action. And if you're anything like me, especially in this like starting to wake up from pandemic mode where getting out to do your morning exercise is a little bit tough. So my trainer, shout out to Danielle from Red Life Yoga, my trainer has me on this thing where I just have to go outside and go for a walk for 5 minutes on the days that I am not working out with her. All I have to do is before I start work, get out the door for 5 minutes. Getting out the door is a Herculean effort though, right? It's like I have to put on pants and a sports bra and tennis shoes and put my earphones in and actually leave the house instead of rolling straight into work in my pajamas. And don't lie, in pandemic life, as a stay-at-home worker, you probably have been doing this too if you have the privilege to be a stay-at-home worker, at least some of the time. So getting out the door for that 5-minute walk is really difficult. Now, once I'm out the door for that walk, I rarely only walk for 5 minutes. Occasionally, if I really was late getting out the door, maybe I'll only walk for 5 or 6 minutes, but almost every time I walk for at least a half an hour, sometimes more, because once I've gotten over the hump of getting outside and starting my walk, it's easy to keep going because it feels good. This is a perfect analogy in my mind for what a CTA is and what a CTA does. So a CTA is trying to get a prospective client, someone who's on a journey to become a customer, over the hump of either opting into your list or buying your thing. It can be a Herculean effort to do that. It can be really tough to get them to fill out their email address or put in their credit card information. But you know, because you are a kick-ass values-driven brand, that when you do that, once they do that, once they join your mailing list, once they buy your thing, that they are going to feel better, be better off, and have a better life in some way, whether it's a small thing like having a kick-ass t-shirt from Dear Grown Ass Women, or what turns out to be a really big thing, having a healthy shake every morning that sets your body up right so you can do all the happy shit that you want to do in the world, like my shakes from Your Cta. No, again, I'm not affiliated with them. I'm just obsessed with them today. And they're perfect examples of what CTAs do in their highest and best. But a lot of us, because we've been screwed by shitty marketing and manipulative CTAs, are really touchy when it comes to asking for the sale or asking for the opt-in. We're afraid to do it. And that's because we've been manipulated in the past by people who use CTAs to kind of punch us in the gut or stab us in the back. So it's kind of like, I want to say it like kind of like a trainer I worked with a while ago, several years ago, where the thing that he wanted me to do when I wasn't training with him was to go out and do a HIIT workout for 15 minutes. And the thing about the HIIT workout is I am in my 30s now, and that shit doesn't feel good at the end. It doesn't even feel good while you're doing it sometimes if your body's not ready for it. So unlike my 5-minute walk for right now, like my 5-minute walk that often turns into a 30-minute walk because it feels awesome and I come back and I feel energized from it. When I would go do this HIIT workout, I would often use a lot of the energy that I had for the day, and I would be tired afterwards, and it would make it more difficult to do my work, not easier to do my work, because he was pushing me too hard and too fast. So if you've ever been manipulated by a CTA, you might feel a little nervous to use them yourself. But they are critical, and when used properly, actually help people to have a better life. Just like me going out for a 5-minute walk makes my life better, even though it's really hard to get out and do it to get out the door, right? So, what is a CTA? A call to action. Specifically in digital, CTAs show up in a couple of ways. What they are essentially is a link between a visitor and a landing page. And that landing page might be selling something, or it might be an opt-in. And they are used inside content pages like blogs, on social media feeds, in ads, in long-form portal pages or content pages. And they are either inline, which is what we call a CTA that's written text linked somewhere, or they are a graphic, which is what we call a CTA that's like a banner or an image that has text and maybe a button on it. And these are used in different ways. Now, in a 2021 world, inline CTAs tend to perform better than graphic CTAs because people are fairly conditioned that graphic CTAs are a sales pitch. But that's not always the case, and we use them in different ways. But y'all know from the last few episodes that we are looking at a copy first strategy. So I'm going to start with the copy, the inline version. And also, even the graphic CTAs usually have a line or two of text on them that make it clear what the action is. So crafting CTA copy that is compelling and concise takes a lot of creativity. I don't want you to write the line on your CTA in 15 minutes when you spend 15 hours creating the content for the landing page or sales page that this CTA is going to. That's a recipe for disaster. And just like last week when we talked about the blog headline being so critical to actually getting someone to the blog, the CTA copy is going to determine many times, even most of the time, whether or not someone ends up on your sales page. So take some time with it, let it breathe, and absolutely test it. Play with it over time until you get one that works really well most of the time. This takes concentration and a lot of attention to fine details. So whether they're going to your website or a blog or coming from an email, or if it's a sale or an opt-in, those things matter. And if you go back to the copy checklist that we gave you a couple of weeks ago, using those power words and those compelling emotional connections, using a benefit, those are going to be really important in your CTA, which is why you want to take your time with crafting it. Calls to action don't have to manipulate, but they do have to be action-oriented, and they do have to create a want to do something with the person that you are giving the call to, right? With the person who's reading or watching the video. Now, we don't want to get too cute with our CTAs. One of the major errors that I will see people make with CTAs is that they are using really flowery language, or they're kind of circling around the point, or they're a little afraid to just ask someone to take the action. And so the offer isn't super clear. And clarity is more important than anything else in a CTA. It's more important than cleverness. It's more important than emotional connection. People need to understand what it is you want them to do. So, for example, we use basically the same phraseology on buttons in CTAs all the time. Click here, learn more, buy now. Pretty much one of those three is the button text for a CTA that we always use. Click here, learn more, buy now. But people try to get so like cute with it. They'd be like, join my list to learn about whatever, like be a VIP. None of that stuff works as well as the clear action. Click here, buy now, learn more. And you know what? Those things are not manipulative. They are a clear action. Whereas trying to wrap your button into something that feels like not asking for money or not really asking for an email address, what you're actually doing is trying to manipulate them into doing the thing because you're afraid to just ask them to do the thing. And so I'd love for you to think about why that is. And instead of trying to be clever, be clear. 99% of the time, the appropriate text for your CTA button, if you're using a button and not inline, is click here, learn more, or buy now. If you're inline CTA, clarity in what it is you're offering. For example, say you've just done a paragraph about how to construct a CTA, and you have a downloadable checklist about how to write the copy for the CTA. Yes, shameless plug here. You can go to realignyourstrategy.com/podcast and download a CTA copy cheat sheet, and you'll see a button there that says, click here to download. If you're inline and you've just given that paragraph about what a CTA is and how to write a CTA, your inline CTA might, and I feel like I've said that word a lot today, y'all. I'm sorry about that. It might be something like this. To learn more about how to craft a CTA, click here. Or learn more about how to craft a CTA and link that line. What you never want to do with inline CTAs is only link the word here or click here. You need to link the whole line, and ideally that line will have a keyword phrase or a variation of the keyword phrase you're targeting for that piece in it. Because when you link to another page on your site, it is a very clear signal to what you're trying to rank for and how your website is connected. So it's very confusing to Googlebot if you are linking just to the word here or the words click here in text. So don't do that. Link the whole phrase so the context of what the link is easier for a bot to understand. Now, beyond the button itself or the click here in the sentence, you want all of the copy inside of your CTA to be action-oriented. Calls to action are, by definition, calling a website visitor or a social media visitor or an email recipient to take an action. So use active verbs that tell them what to do. Go here, save more, learn the secret, join us, become a part of the revolution. Whatever the thing is, use action-oriented words to clearly state what you want them to do. You're trying to get an action, and it is maybe, I was going to say as difficult, but it's maybe even more difficult to get someone to take that action of clicking on your button or your sentence online as it is for my trainer to get me out the door on my 5-minute walk. Now, once you get them to your page, you want to make sure that you've matched your copy from the call to action to the headline and the first action asked for on that landing page. So whether that landing page is trying to get an email opt-in or trying to get a sale, the copy that you've used for your CTA, so say it's in a blog or on a social media post, that action should match the action on the landing page where you're trying to get the opt-in or the sale. This is another common error that I see where what's on the page and what's in the call to action don't go together. And so when someone clicks over there, they're confused. That would be like Danielle asking me, instead of going out for a 5-minute walk where it's really clear what I know what to do, to go out and do my Friday workout, but not telling me what my Friday workout is. The call to action is just the first step in converting a website visitor into a client or an opted in lead. Someone still needs to take that action if you want to be able to market to them, right? They got to put their email address in, or they've got to put their credit card information in. So don't let a disconnect between the CTA and the landing page cause confusion that's going to make someone hesitate about completing the action. The reason why Danielle starts me out, right, on a easy to do, clear action is to get me moving, to get me bought in on her program and feeling good so that when she adds something a little bit more difficult, I will be trusting her and feeling better about myself and feeling more connected because things will get tougher and tougher and tougher. The same thing is true about your calls to action. So your first call to action to someone who's totally new to you, they're in awareness on the customer journey, right? Or even pre-awareness, needs to be small. It's a 5-minute walk type of action. Opt into my list, hit like on my Facebook page, follow me on Instagram, connect with me on LinkedIn. Those are common small first action CTAs. Now, sometimes, depending on your business, we will also use a call to action for a pre-awareness or awareness person that is a small sale, typically something under $20. We call those impulse buy range, and they're often something like, in the coaching and personal development world, downloading a video training or a cheat sheet or a book or something like that that's very inexpensive. So sometimes you can use a buying action as a first CTA, but it's usually with someone at the beginning of your customer journey, but it's usually only appropriate when it is a very small price point thing. Another common error we see people do is they try to take someone too far who has no idea who they are. So for instance, they're trying to get someone who's reading an awareness level piece of content or someone who is just joined their email list to join a $20,000 or $30,000 mastermind. That doesn't work. There has to be some development in between. Unless that person is coming to you from a referral from another human being, most people are not going to go from never hearing about you before to a 5-figure investment with you. Instead, we ask Instead, we ask escalating a little bit more, a little bit bigger asks over time to develop people. So the first CTA for that person that you may eventually want in your mastermind might be something like download my podcast, or something like opt into my email list, or something like follow me on Instagram. And the next CTA is something a little bit bigger. If you've asked them to follow you on Instagram, maybe as you're posting on your Instagram, you're asking people to hop over and subscribe to your email list to get some kind of free downloadable. And then after they've been on your email list for a few days, you're offering them a small purchase. Maybe it's a $97 small course or a sample intro session at a discount if you're a coach or something like that. And then once they've done that, they get segmented onto a different type of list, get delivered a different kind of content where they're asked to participate in something that may be a little bit bigger. Maybe purchasing a course or a package or something like that. And then once they've done that and they're getting good results from that, eventually then you have the right to start asking them to join that $20,000 or $30,000 mastermind. Now, does everybody go through every step of the journey in a linear way? Absolutely not. In fact, as you all have heard me talk a lot about cycles, and some people are at different points in their cycle. For example, there are a couple of times that I have joined a very expensive mastermind very shortly after getting introduced to someone because it fit a need that I had right at that moment, and it was where I was in a cycle. So that's going to happen to you sometimes, but mostly that is luck oriented and or sales connected. So you sell something or get a referral from someone or just have dumb luck. Whereas from the marketing side, you're primarily developing people over time. And we do that by matching our CTA, our call to action, to the appropriate type of content for where someone is in their journey. So that means that every type of content you're creating, whether it's a social media post or a blog post or an email, you want to stop and ask yourself with that content, what stage of the buyer's journey is this content related to? Is it for people who are just finding out about me or just discovering their problem? Is it for someone who's considering their options, who knows they have a problem and knows that they are looking for some solutions and aren't sure which option to go with? Is it someone who's in decision, where they're ready to put out money or ready to opt into a list and they just need that final understanding about why we are for them? We do this by playing content bingo, which y'all have heard me talk about before, where we actually have 5 stages of the buyer's journey, and we're looking to make sure that every time we create a campaign, we understand which stage of the buyer's journey that campaign is for. We have calls to action that match that stage of the buyer's journey, and that over time, as we're developing out campaigns and content for our clients, they are creating bingos across every stage of the buyer's journey. So they have content for awareness, for consideration, for pre-awareness, for decision, for post-decision delight. This is really critical if you don't want to have big holes in how people move through your buyer's journey. So yes, we use a visual for this. We have a bingo board, but we also use a spreadsheet. And on that spreadsheet, we label every piece of content and what stage it is in the buyer's journey. Also, when we lay out sitemaps, we do that. And certainly every time we create a CTA, that call to action, whether it's inline or on page, we make sure that it's appropriate to the stage of the buyer's journey that somebody is in at that time, right? Y'all, I'm obsessed with these shakes. They look gross, but they're so good. Okay, so once we have done that, once we have clearly articulated what stage of the buyer's journey the CTA should relate to based on the content that it's going in, we are able to better get people to take actions. Probably the most common CTA error that I see is not relating the content that the CTA is going into, whether it's blog post or a landing page or a social media post or a home page, to the stage in the buyer's journey that someone who's likely to land on it is at. So it's trying to get them to do too much too fast, buy a mastermind when they've never heard of you before. Or it's too small of an action for where they're at. It's opting into an email list when what they want is to buy something right now. So being clear about that stage of the buyer's journey and then making sure that CTA matches it and that it's action oriented is really going to help you. So I'm coming in from my walk. That Danielle is having me walk only 5 minutes will tell you that I'm kind of getting back in after, I know a lot of us have, right? Post pandemic, well, we're not really post pandemic, but hopefully close to post-pandemic. I am fully vaccinated. Yay! Very excited about that. And I'm trying to get back into the way I used to be in fitness, which is really excited about my workouts and not negotiating ever. Like I did my workouts every day without thinking about them until last April. And then life exploded and we got really, really busy and the workouts got put on the back burner and the habit got broken. But next week, I'm sure Danielle is going to ask me to do something that's a little bit harder. Maybe she's going to ask me to take something out of my diet or walk a little bit farther or something like that. And I will be able to do that because I trust myself because I've been able to do the small things. And I trust her because she didn't give me something bigger than I could handle to do from the beginning. And she didn't manipulate me. She didn't tell me that I was fat or weak or if I wanted to feel better about myself, I had to do exactly what she said. She simply asked me to show up for myself for 5 minutes every day when I wasn't with her. What if you think of your CTAs that way, as empowering the person that you're trying to help to take action for themselves that is going to make them feel good and is going to help them, and that it's a small action that builds over time with a bigger and bigger action until they get to where you want to help them to be, until you've fulfilled your promise to a customer with them. CTAs are powerful and they don't have to be gross. In fact, they can be amazing because they can change people's lives. They can compel people to take action for themselves where they were unable to before. So I want you to look at them that way, and I want to give you a little bit of homework this week. Go to realignyourstrategy.com/podcast and download the copy cheat sheet for CTAs. And then I want you to look at your website, so your landing pages and your blog pages, and ask yourself if your CTAs have clear calls to action, are written in an action-oriented way, match the copy on the top of the landing page they are connected to, so the CTA request and the headline match, and are appropriate to the stage of the buyer's journey that content is created for. If you cover those 4 things, your CTAs will perform great for you and they'll be in integrity for you. Let me know how it goes. I'd love for you to send me a message. You can't find me on Instagram, but you can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, or send us an email at team@realignyourstrategy.com and let us know how this CTA thing goes for you. I am so excited for you to try it out. It's one of the things that really has revolutionized some of my own work, is getting this right, and I want to see it work for you too. I'll see y'all next week.